with the numbers. And I think with people knowing the whole compensation plan and knowing, I think they can maximize their income potential.
Mm-hmm.
And so my experience is like, yeah, I knew a little bit about it, but really getting into it, and that's something nobody actually can teach you. You can listen, but you really have to do it yourself to really look how it works. And that's when it comes and you can support other people as well. So that's why I asked you to do this Zoom, and especially also for the people in Europe, my team. And so thank you for doing this.
You bet.
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of texts coming through on my phone and it keeps dinging.
Yes.
I'm trying to turn the noise off. However, I can get my noise to stop. But
so I don't really know, because we didn't set up what you're going to say, but you're going to do the numbers. What I really liked when we were at Global was definitely this side hustle to biohacking. That was like, I was blown away. Just, just to see that this is a no-brainer.
Well, it's surprising when you really look at what the options are that people have. It's really surprising what they're willing to do for such a small amount of money. And it was a big stretch for me when the company asked me to do that, because I'm usually just teaching comp plan, or I'm just teaching, some structure or something like that. That's usually what they have me do. And so they said, I want you to talk about the side hustle perspective. And so I had to do a bunch of research, and it was good for me too, because the research that I had to do opened my eyes up to a lot of what's going on out there. So it was it was fun. It was a fun presentation. To give everybody that wasn't there just a really quick update, it was basically a whole bunch of different opportunities that were $50 to $100, and people are working really hard just to make an extra $50. Walking dogs and babysitting and things like that for all these college kids that are looking for that little bit of an extra income. And so for us, here in LifeVantage, we have so much easier path to make that $50 or $100 if someone's willing to do it. And on top of that, they end up making a passive income that's more of a royalty type income than what they make in those little side hustles. The side hustle, you have to do it again and again and again. Whereas here, if you can get a few customers buying product, especially if they're paying the retail price for it, then they'll buy it month after month after month, and you can start to compound your effort, 3 months in, 5 months in, a year in, to where they have something that's now a legitimate type of royalty type income. And that was exciting for me to learn. So that was fun. It was a fun presentation. It got better as we went through the presentations, because it's, the first time you go out and do something that's different, you don't really have a real flow for how it's going to come out. And so as we got through it, it got better and better.
Oh, then I should have gone all with you. I should have run behind you, because I thought it was good already. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
that was a really good event for all of you guys. I know we talked about having you get on here a little bit early to talk about what's going on. The new products that they're adding to our catalog of products are amazing. It's hard for me because I don't have hair to talk about hair care stuff, but my wife is a cosmetologist, so she does hair. And I don't know if you've seen her, but her hair is always, it's got colors in it and all kinds of, because she loves that. And she loves this. And she's really, really picky about what she'll put in her hair, just because she knows so much about how to take care of your hair and how easy you can damage it. And so we're getting, which is surprising to me, we're getting this unbelievable positive response to the hair care. People that have scalp issues, well, it's clearing that up. It's clearing it up. And so people that have been having little bald spots, they're starting to grow their hair back. And it's really fun to see that our company is maintaining the same level of quality or the same expectations that we have with Protandim or with our Nerf One products throughout the product line. That's good for us. If you care about building something that will last 5 or 10 or 15 years, it really should matter to you that they maintain that quality.
Yeah. So I agree. That was really an amazing global conference. That was really amazing. Everything, the whole hair care product. I used the hair care product, and it's really, in the beginning I had to get used to it because I'm a curly girl, and ethnic hair. So I really, and I always, you know, I don't know if you know it, but we have to put a lot of stuff in our hair. But actually I don't. I trained myself now to just do the Life Vantage products and then see how it works. Because then I can say, you know, this is really something I can use and work. And I do. My hair is so soft. It's really soft and it's still curly. So
beautiful.
Yeah. And I just, you know, I just wet it again and put some conditioner in. So I use it a little bit as a leave-in. But
it's nice too to have just another thing that we can offer to the people as they're looking at our company. So not everybody cares as much about the Protandim as we did in the beginning. Not everybody does, and that's fine. Some people care more about the Axio or the energy stuff, and now we have a whole new group of people because it's not specific to just one age group, or it's not specific to just male or female. We now have another piece in our product line that everyone can use. So again, very, very smart on our corporate side. I think they're doing a great job. We just raised all of our guidance too. If you guys are paying attention to our quarterly reports, we just raised guidance, which is always good. That means growth. And we, you know, a lot of people, the big thing that people say to us is like, yeah, but your company's been 200 million for 4 years or whatever. And we're like, yeah, but not anymore. Not now. It's now starting to grow. And we just raised our guidance by almost 10%, which is exciting. And so anybody that's paying, I've been running around the country for the last year telling everybody that timing right now is the best it's ever going to be. And it's the best it's probably ever been. And every time I say the best it's ever been, people look at me like I'm crazy. They go, well, I mean, if I could turn the clock all the way back to when you joined the company, that would be better timing. And I go, no, it really wouldn't have been better. Because when I joined the company, everything was chaos. Everything was confusion. You know, we really didn't have a broad offering in our product catalog either. We were hoping that the peer reviews would come back positive, because if they didn't, we were done. I mean, it was a scary, scary time in the beginning. So timing wise, if you joined back in 2009 or 10 or 11, 12, in those first 3 or 4 years, you really were taking a big risk, and you had to have really thick skin because there was so much confusion and so many mistakes being made that it was hard for people to get their confidence around our company. So timing today, the mistakes have all been made. In fact, when Darren and Justin came in, they've really cleared things up. They've came in and brought the 30 years worth of experience and wisdom that they have. They've brought that here, cleaned everything up on the corporate side and said, okay, you guys, here's the foundation. We've added to the catalog of products. We've modified little teeny things in the comp plan to encourage support from above. We've created an environment now where you guys can grow. And they've focused heavily on things like the Pace Setter program, which people love. They've got the Pro 5 incentives that they've really spent a lot of time making sure that that's even better when they fly people in so that they can be up and you know, trained by some of the top leadership of the company. They've done a really good job. And I think you're starting to see it now in the numbers, like what we just posted in our quarterly report. So I'm kind of excited about that. Timing today, you guys, I don't know how it can be any better. I just don't know. I don't know how it can be any better. You've got 9 years now of proof in the comp plan that if you hit certain ranks that the average income is going to be pretty close to what you're seeing in that range of income report. So you can count on it. You can show people, where do you need to be? You know, do you need $500? Do you need $1,000? Do you need where do you need to be? And then once they tell you where they need to be, 2,000, 5,000, whatever, if you understand the comp plan, if you understand how to structure your business, well, then the conversation gets really easy. You know, and so I'm happy with where the company is. Timing right now, best it's ever been. And I'll say one more thing about that, because I know we're only a couple minutes away from doing probably the bigger, where you've invited a bunch of people on. If you look at the timing curves, or if you look at like an S curve, so what a typical business goes through, that S curve, the initial stage, those initial 5, 6, 8, 10 years is where what they call foundational is where the foundational stage is, where you're trying to fix all the little problems. The momentum cycle, that real vertical curve, is the one that you have to catch. So you can miss all kinds of stuff when the company's figuring things out, when they're making mistakes and trying to fix stuff and get the right leadership on the distributor side, or the right leadership on the, you can miss some of that. You could have literally not been a part of the company for the last 9 years, and you didn't really miss anything except chaos, right? But if you look at S curves, if you've taken any business classes at all, when a company goes to this next cycle, when they go on that vertical ride, you can't miss that. If you miss that, then you know what perfect looks like, but you missed it. And you have to try to apply what you learned somewhere else. And you may or may not ever see that again. They say that most people will get an opportunity like this a couple times in their life. And if they're really, really, really lucky, maybe 3, okay? So right now you're seeing it. Right now you can identify it. You can research anything that any of us are saying. You can actually go check us out because we're publicly held. You can look at how much money the company has in the bank. You can look at how much sales we have every quarter. You can see how much is commissions, how much is, you can literally look at all that stuff. You can check it all out. But you have to know that when we get to 700 or 800 million, the opportunity will not be as great as it is today. And some people don't like me saying that. They don't like me to tell you that. But if you look at the industry as a whole, which I tell people to be a student of the industry all the time, if you look at the industry, you can see that the companies who have become billion-dollar companies, they would plateau at about 200 to 300 million. They would then plateau again at 700 or 800 million. And the way that they get out of the second plateau, that $700-800 million mark, is by expanding globally, which our company is doing a few years early. I mean, most of you are on this call from all around the world. And so you're seeing in your countries the very, very beginning stages like we saw in the United States, but you don't have to have the chaos that we had because we figured all the little problems out. I'm not saying there aren't any. I mean, there's always going to be some when you expand, but you don't have the uncertainty that we had in the beginning because this company is very, very strong right now, and you're at the very beginning of it. So it's an exciting time, you guys. It's really, for me, this is the best time to be in the company. You don't have to deal with all the nonsense that I had to deal with.
Well, that's really one of the things that, because of one of the things I ask you, because you went through, you practiced what you're preaching now. So that's one of the things, and you're one of the highest paid. So I think it's about 9 o'clock. We can wait until, or I can start introducing you because let's start. And
let's jump right in.
Yeah, let's see what's gonna happen. So I'll start introducing myself for the people who don't know me. My name is Polly Grace Fonse, and I live in Amsterdam. I have been working in airline for 30 years, and in between I have been being trained by as a vitality coach and massage therapist. And so just a quick, for people who are jumping in, please mute yourself. So during the meeting, we don't have the interruptions of all the other sounds. So, and I really love what I do. I love flying. I love talking to people. I love, health. So, and when this opportunity came across to me, and Jennifer knows, I was like, no way, I'm not going to do this. I had my experience with network marketing, and I was like, thank you very much. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. It didn't fit, but she was very persistent, and I really, when I started really looking into the business, into the product, but also into the business, and really thinking ahead, like, what's my future? I'm a single person. Listen, I do have to, and I do want to make my own, my own money. I don't want to wait for somebody to do it for me. So that's why I lead with products because I love the product. The product is so good. After 2 months, somebody said to me, hey, that product of yours is working. And I said, why do you say that? She said, you never call off anymore when we have a dinner that you have a migraine. And then I realized I didn't have a migraine anymore, but I do have headaches sometimes. But, for me, that was the product side. And, everything I feel is a little different. So my cells are fed. But then the business, to me, it's like really, if I have to go into my retirement, I want to be healthy enough to go and enjoy my retirement, and I want to have financial health to go and enjoy my retirement. So that's why I thought, this is something, and maybe it's not directly the big money, but at least it's residual income. But that's enough about me. Why I invited you all is because this amazing gentleman, Tyler Daniels. I've met Tyler Daniels like a year ago in Amsterdam. And yeah, well, you probably don't know it, but I'll tell it. I was just blown away by you, just telling it like it is. You're down to earth. You're fun, and especially also your wife. Sorry, I just love Tasha. She's just such a power woman and fun loving, and you guys love riding your bikes. But one thing I do like about you as well is, like I just said, you practice what you're preaching. And you know about the business, you know about conversation plan. Tyler is, I don't know if anybody knows that, but Tyler is one of the founders of the conversation plan. So he really knows his, you know, his business. And I think it shows because he's one of the highest paid people. They are one of the highest paid couples in the company. And so, you know, if you want to really go somewhere, I would listen and learn. So Tyler, with no further ado, I'll let you go and talk your talk.
Well, thank you. It was really fun for Tosh and I. We had an opportunity to help the company introduce itself in Amsterdam, and so we lived there for 90 days, for 3 months. And you know, one of the things that scared me when I was asked to go do that is they said, you're probably not going to drive a car around. I was like, really? I'm not going to drive my car? And I did, because I didn't realize how great the transportation system is over in Europe. I had no idea. And we fell in love with Amsterdam. We fell in love with the way that the people treated us over there. And we are going to come back when it's not wintertime. We want to come back and see the Tulip Festival when it's over there. But we had a really great experience coming over and doing all that. We were there for New Year's. And I know those of you that live there, you already know it is unbelievable. The way that you celebrate New Year's is shocking to me. We were up on the roof of our apartment, and it was 360 degrees of just all fireworks everywhere. And we flew our daughter in just to be a part of that week with us, and she'll never forget. She'll never forget that. So anyway, thank you to all you that treated us so well over in Amsterdam. It was a lot of fun. So let me do this with you guys. The way I like to do these Zoom calls, I like to take about 15 minutes and give you guys just a really brief overview of what LifeVantage is. The reason I like to take you on a little history tour of LifeVantage is because I hope that you'll use some of what I'm saying in your presentations. I hope that you can see some of the vision that we had back in the very, very beginning, and you can tell that story as you're talking to people, because where we started and where we're at today is a huge evolution in this company. And so sometimes people really need to know that our focus 9 years ago has started to happen. Some of the goals that we had, some of the things that we wanted to accomplish, they've all started to happen today, so that you can see where the company is going to go in the next 5 or even 10 years. So I want to take maybe 10 or 15 minutes and walk you guys through that. Not everybody gets to hear about the first year because they weren't here, and not everybody's really excited to go tell that first year because it was scary. It wasn't. I will tell you, when we looked at this company, the way I got introduced is the CEO at the time said, guys, we want you to fly into San Diego, California, and just give us some help. I mean, if you'll just kind of just give us some suggestions, is what he said. And we're like, really? You just want us to fly in and give you some suggestions? Because there was a group of us that were in a transition at the time from the company we were in. The owner of that company was doing things that we were not proud of, and we just were not going to invite people in if he wasn't going to do things with what we thought was more ethically appropriate. And so we were in this transition, and they flew us into San Diego, and they said, here's the thing. We know we're probably not attractive enough as a company to get you guys here. We already know this. But we believe we have a product that could become something really, really attractive in the MLM world. We believe we have something that people are going to want. And if you'll just give us some direction on how we can present this to people, that's really all we need to hear. And we're like, you flew us down here and you're not even going to try to recruit us? That was our first response. And he's like, well, you know, the company doesn't have any money. So you guys would be taking a huge risk if you came to our company. And we said, well, what do you mean you don't have any money? And they're like, yeah, we've spent like $18 million and we just don't have any money. And we said, all right, well, what's next? And they said, well, watch this little ABC Primetime video. And some of you have probably seen the ABC Primetime video. We watched it. And I honestly just didn't see a whole lot. But the guys I was with, they all looked at me and they said, Tyler, if this is real, if this ABC Primetime video is real, if we can verify this, this is going to be a giant opportunity. It's going to meet or answer a question that the industry has been asking for 50 years, which is, where is your proof? And I listened to them. I was like, really? You guys, that's how you see this? And they said, yeah. So we started to ask questions like, you know, how real is this proof? I mean, do you really have scientific studies from major universities? And they said, yeah, we do. In fact, we're starting to get interest from around the world. It's not even just universities here in the United States. It's actually becoming global now. And one of our studies, I think you know, is being done right there in Amsterdam, or was finished there at the Free University in Amsterdam. They said, but if these studies come back positive, then we know we have something big. And that's what all my friends said. They said, Tyler, we've got to figure out a way to see if we can't help these guys raise some capital. We've got to figure out a way, because that is the number one problem in network marketing, has been for decades. Where's your proof? And so we started going down the path of, do you have any options? I mean, what can you guys do to gather some money? I mean, what can you do to help us have enough financial resources to create marketing plans and hire the right people so that we can support the kind of functions and the training that's going to have to take place for the size of a group that we're going to bring in? And so they came together, they went to the board of directors, and they decided they were going to do a capital raise where they were going to sell a bunch of options and warrants and things to try to raise a $5 million capital raise back in 2009. And we said, well, if you guys can do that, then we'll actually take a chance with you. I mean, we believe so much in the power of what this ABC Primetime and all these studies are going to do for people that we'll take a chance with you. So they did. And about 60 days later, they had all the money raised, and we decided that this was going to be our project. This was going to be our new path, because for the first time in our minds, you saw a company that did things a little bit backwards from what typical MLM companies do. And let me explain that really quick. Most MLM companies, they'll get a group of people together. They'll come up with some kind of comp plan. They'll say, we're going to do a binary, or we're going to do a unilevel, we're going to do a force matrix. You know, what kind of comp plan do we want? And then they go around the table and say, what are the hot trends right now? You know, what's going on? I mean, is it juices? Is it these really high-end, expensive juices? Do we want to get into makeup? Which there's been a couple companies succeed in all those different places, right? They said, what's trendy right now? And then they try to find a product that has some kind of scientist who believes in that product. And that's how network marketing companies get started. Well, this one actually went out kind of backwards. They had a product that, because of the ABC Primetime special, intrigued a bunch of universities to do studies. Well, it turns out that the conversation about Protandim was so advanced that you couldn't put the product on store shelves and sell it in a retail environment. It was so advanced that people would walk in and say, I'm familiar with antioxidants, but I have no idea what this Nerf2 thing is, right? And so they hired a CEO that said, what you guys are missing is the voice. They said, you are so unique in the fact that you already have a product that is so advanced that it's where the future is. It's what people are going to be doing 5 or 10 years from now. You just have to give the product a voice. Give it a sales force. Give it a team of people to talk about it. And that's how this company came about. You guys, if you think about that, wouldn't you rather have a product that is so advanced that we have to become its voice, and we get compensated the better we are at exposing that product to our neighbors or to our community or to the world? Doesn't it make more sense to do it in that direction instead of the other? And so that's how this company was born, you guys. And in that first year, we actually spent all $5 million. We spent it all on marketing and travel expenses and making sure that we had everything in place. We got 4 of our studies that came back in that first year, all of them positive, from LSU and places like that, about the reduction of inflammation in your body. If you can reduce that, the impact it has on disease. And all of a sudden, our little company was born. But guess what? On the 12th month of that first year, we were this close to not making it. We hit our number. They said you have to be doing $1 million a month in sales, and you have to do it within 12 months in order for us just to pay the bills and make it into our second year. And we hit that number on our 12th month. That's how close things were to not even being here today. Well, that $11 million we did in year one turned into $29 million in year two, and over $100 million in year three, and close to $200 million in year four, and then just over $200 million in year five. And then we hit that bottleneck where most companies hit, that plateauing, to where your company now has to do something. You've got to add to your product line. You've got to increase your exposure. You've got to do better at marketing. You've maybe got to attract some corporate leadership in so that we can fine tune all of the little systems in the company for delivering products and lowering the shipping costs and all those things. Well, it took us a couple of years to attract those people in. And about 3 years ago, we attracted Darren Jensen into LifeVantage with his 30 years of experience. I mean, he's got 3 decades of experience running, being a part of giant teams in this industry. So he's also been involved with the companies that are billion-dollar companies like Nu Skin or Amway. He ran entire divisions for those companies. His family has been in this industry for so long that they've also started a bunch of their own. And so what that means is he has experience in the startups, and he has experience in where we want to be. So he knows what the starting line looks like, and he knows what the finish line looks like. And so he went out and started to attract people like Justin Rose with his 30 years of experience in big companies, little companies. And I will tell you right now, I've never met a chief sales officer that has the ability to just relate to everybody. I've never seen that in this industry, and Justin Rose is phenomenal at it, okay? Darren also went out and he was able to attract the Ryan Goodwins of the world, which I know there's a lot going on with our social media, but who better than someone who's set these kind of things up for the last 20 years, 25 years, and understands what we're trying to accomplish when we use social media to introduce our product or our company, or introduce even yourself to the social media world, right? Ryan Goodwin is an expert in that, and he's creating all these apps for us to use. He then went into the corporate staff, the existing corporate staff, and said, who do I want to make sure that we keep around? And he kept around Dr. Fifi. Now, I don't know if you guys love Dr. Fifi like I do, but she's awesome, okay? She is incredibly talented, incredibly wise, and he said, no, Dr. Fifi, you need to stay here because we need your talents. And so she's been a big part of making sure we have all these new products, and the science behind these new products is in line with what Protandem has already established as the foundation or the expectation for our catalog of products. And so we have an incredible team, you guys. It took them 2 years to add all the products to the catalog that we need that we have today. It took them 2 years to clean up all the little systems in some of the countries that we've gone into and not done a great job of launching. And they're still in the process of doing some of that. But it took them 2 years to do all that and then establish enough confidence in our field to go out in what we've done in the last year and grow this company by over 10%. That's huge. That is an absolutely huge thing, because now what's happening is you have a lot of people like me that have been in the industry for a while. We study the industry. We know what the indicators look like. We know kind of when a company is getting ready to emerge from that real chaotic, confusing time and getting ready to go through that giant shift. You have a lot of distributors like us that when you see that company, you want to be a part of it. And so they're knocking the doors down and asking Darren, is there a place for me? So you're starting to see a lot of leadership. Now, some people hear that and they get a little scared. They go, oh man, I'm going to miss out. And honestly, I hope that's the feeling. I really do hope that when you hear that big leaders are coming here, that you're just a little bit scared. The fear of missing out motivates me. And so, I'm kind of like, if that inspires you because there's a little fear of missing out, then great. I've been running around and asking people, if you could turn the clock back on Nu Skin or Mary Kay or Amway or any of the big ones, Herbalife, if you could turn the clock back to this point in those companies' lives, would you join them? And anybody that tells me no, I'm like, well, then you don't count. You disqualified yourself. Because if you could turn those companies back knowing what you know today to the $200 million mark and not participate, you simply just are happy where you're at. Right? Or you're just not willing to make the sacrifices in your life to have this huge financial windfall in your life so you can do whatever you want and be as philanthropic or as charitable or as selfish as you want. I mean, you get to decide how you want to use that windfall. But I tell them all the time, if you can turn it back to right now, would you join it? If they say yes, then I say, well, then all we have to do is establish that LifeVantage is that company that's doing 200 million. And the indicators are all around us. So the fact that we're publicly held should mean a big deal to you. It should mean a lot to you. It should mean, I mean, the transparency in being publicly held means that you can have the confidence of them not shutting the doors tomorrow, because we know how much money they have in the bank. We know how much money they pay their CEOs and their CSO and the CFO and the COO and the chief science. We know how much we spend. We know what they're spending their money on because we're a publicly held company. So I say, if you would join those companies turning the clock back, this is the perfect opportunity to be a part of a company that is just leaving the chaos and the confusion. It's just leaving that and getting ready to go on its next big run, which will be about 800 million is about where the next plateau is. And then from there, we have to get really, really good as a company as we continue to expand globally and introduce our products to the world. So that's where this company is at. And I'm fired up about it. I'm excited about it. I think that the sacrifices and the hard work that's been put into now you're going to see that in the next 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. And again, I hope nobody misses it. I hope that when I do these calls, my biggest fear at this point is I hope that you guys don't get 2 years or 3 years in, and I hope you're not the one that goes, I know what perfect looks like, but I didn't do my part. Right? I know what perfect looks like, but I didn't make that extra phone call. I didn't call that one friend of mine. I hope that you don't have to go out and hope that this happens for you somewhere else, because you almost can't find anything better than this. And we're not the only company, but we are certainly one of the best ones out there answering some questions that have been asked for 50, 60 years. So that's a little history. Did you guys like that little history on the company? Yeah, because you guys, this is honestly how I show this to people too. People ask me all the time, they go, well, what do you say to people? Do you lead with the product, or do you lead with the opportunity, or do you lead with, the timing? What do you lead with? And I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret, okay? You gotta lead with them all. Now, some of you are like, but I really love the product. Okay? I mean, I really love it. That's great. You can love the product, and there will be conversations where the product is what you should lead with. But there are if you want to have a team like mine, see, my organization has done over $1 billion in sales. $1 billion. Not a million, not 10, not 100, $1 billion. And Marcel and I have made in commissions close to $30 million. That's what we've made in commissions. Is that crazy? If you want that, you have to understand that your team has to be made up of people who love the product, and people who love the comp plan, people who love the timing of this. There's going to be people here that go, as long as your product isn't hurting anybody, I just want to make a whole bunch of money. And you have to recognize that and be able to have that conversation, because you'll have people on your team like that. You're also going to have people on your team that go, the money takes care of itself. As long as you have a product that is impacting people's lives at a very, very high level, the money takes care of itself. Show me more about your product. I want to make sure that it is scientifically validated, that I'm not challenging or jeopardizing my personal credibility, right? You're going to have people on your team like that. You're also going to have people on your team that go, you can have this amazing product and this unbelievable comp plan, but if I'm not first, I'm out. They have to understand timing. You're going to have a whole bunch of people on your team that are going to say, prove to me that I haven't missed it, because I don't want to spend my time talking about your incredible product if it's going to be really difficult to find anyone who hasn't heard about your company yet. Does this kind of make sense what I'm saying? So you've got to cover all these things. And so they say, Tyler, how do you do it? Well, I'm a chameleon. I recognize or identify who my audience is, and then I approach them with that information. So for example, most people, at least in my experience, most people have been taught that if you'll just get out of high school and go to college and get a degree or get a little education, then you can get a really good job and you can work for 40 years. And at 65, 62, 67, 70, whatever, somewhere in that range, you're going to be able to retire, and you're going to be able to spend your golden years, on the beach sipping margaritas or whatever. That's kind of what they've been told, right? You get to, Jennifer's out in Hawaii. Everybody wants to retire to where she just lives, right? And so, but that's what people are told. if you'll do this. Well, it turns out that in today's world where you have access to information, that little story is not true very often. There are some people that have been disciplined enough to put their couple $100 or couple €100 away and invest it, right? There's been a few people do that, but it's a very, very small percentage of the population. They forgot that you've got to make those small sacrifices month after month after month, so that when you get in your 60s, you can truly have those golden years the way you want them. They forgot. And so what I have found is you have a lot of people out there that are 40, 50, 55, 60 years old that are finally recognizing that the big advantage of investing is when you do it for 40 years, not for 20 years. The big advantage is when you have time working for you and they no longer have it because they're 40 or 50 years old. And so I say to them, if you're not where you need to be, let me show you a way to get back on track. Let me show you a way to get your retirement accounts funded. Let me show you a way to make up all that difference in your children's college funds. Let me show you a way to make sure that we get you back on track with a product that when you get there will also give you the health that you want to have when you get there. Let me show you a way. Let me show you a way to get a royalty income. So it's not even anymore where you have to give an hour for $10 or $20 or 20 euros, or you no longer have to trade time for that money. Let me show you a way to create leverage in your life, get you back on the financial track so that when you're 60, you have choices. And I find that most people really resonate with that. Most people recognize that they probably didn't make the financial sacrifice when they were 25 or 30 or 35, and they've got some catching up to do. They also recognize that the most people think that you have to work the job you have right now and then go get another job to make that up. Well, all that's going to do is reduce your health. It's going to take your health away. It's going to create stress, which is going to drive all kinds of inflammation and disease into your life. Where this, we can start to affect your health while we're correcting your financial mistakes. Does that make sense? And when you approach it like this, you attract almost everybody, because nobody wants to be 65 and sick. Nobody wants to be 65 and broke either, just so you know. Okay, I know that might not be a secret, but if it is, I'm going to let the secret. Nobody wants to be 65 and broke either. Okay, so let's fix them both, and that's been my approach all along the way. And so I approach them. I ask simple questions. Have you made the decisions that are putting you on the path that will get you where you want to be in 20 years from now? Have you made those decisions? And if they have, great, continue to do it. But the fact is, well over 90-95% of people have not. And so I say, can I talk to you about getting yourself back on that track? And if they say, sure, let's talk about it. I said, let me show you why MLM is so misunderstood. Let me show you a company that is addressing the biggest question that they've always had, which is, where's your proof? Let me just show you. Let me show you a company that has a product that is not only have peer-reviewed science here in the US, but it's global. It's global peer-reviewed science. This has a footprint on its validation that is global. Let me show you this. It's one of the first companies to ever do it. Other companies are going to have to follow suit. You know, let me show you a company that is doing things so right that when the Direct Sellers Association, which is a lobbying group for our industry, when they're picking their board of directors, they chose our CEO to sit on it. That's a pretty good thing to know, right? I mean, when the very group of people that is saying this is the standard, this is the new standard that you have to meet, these are the new expectations. When that group says we want your CEO to sit on our board, there's a reason for that. Okay? And when you have this conversation with people, I've touched on timing, I've touched on the financial side, I've touched on the health side, I've touched on whether or not it's going to challenge someone's credibility, I've touched on all that. I've touched on, do we have any kind of validation on our corporate experience? You guys have noticed in the last, and I've talked for 23 minutes, okay? 23 minutes, and I have covered almost everything to where I can look at you now in just 23 minutes and say, now you tell me what you need more on. What more information do you want? And if you look at me and say, it all sounds great, you said your product is very validated, I need more information, great, let's drive them to the website, let's show them the science, point to it. Don't be the person that has to remember and memorize and spit it all out. Now let me tell you why really quick, okay? If you're that person who has everything memorized, the person you're talking to thinks they have to memorize it too. Okay? And all of a sudden they're going, I am busy. I've got a family. I've got responsibilities at my job. I just picked up a second job, in some cases. I've got soccer practice. I've got, all of a sudden they're going, I don't have time to know what you know. But if you say, what do you need? They go, I need more on the product. Say, great, let me show you where that information is. Guess what happens in their head? They go, oh, I can just point people to the information? Yep, that's how this works. We have a little conversation about your life and are you on the right track? And do you want to be healthy when you're 65, both with your actual health and do you want to be healthy financially? We have that conversation and then I just invite you to the information. That's all we do here. I invite you to take a look at the peer reviews. I invite you to take a look at the range of income report. I invite you to get on a Zoom call. I invite you to meet my upline. I invite you to listen to Darren Jensen when he does all of his Facebook Lives. I invite you to the information. And all of a sudden people go, I can do that. I can do that. I can invite people. I can point to it as long as I don't have to memorize it all. And that is the secret. Okay? Now I'm teaching. I don't know if you guys know Eric Worre or not, but Eric Worre is a kind of an industry advocate. He does big events once or twice a year. I'm teaching on his stage in 2 weeks this very topic about the invite in front of 10,000 people. This is what I'm teaching on. And he didn't tell me to teach on this. I told him I was teaching on this. And he goes, that's great. Okay? That's how important the invite is. The invite is the secret to all of your success. Inviting them to the information, inviting them to take a look at the website, invite. And once you get their interest, you invite them to Zoom calls. You invite them to local meetings that you're doing. I know in Amsterdam, you guys actually had a whole bunch of offices that you guys are part of your homes or that you rent out. You guys are very, very professional how you have things set up in Amsterdam. Invite them to the meetings and then invite them to the elite academies, invite them to the conventions. Inviting is the secret, okay? So that's how you do this. So someone says to me, well, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take your word on the product. Talk to me a little bit about timing. I say, great. Let me talk a little bit about timing. And this is how simple timing is. This is why you can almost this part you can kind of memorize, but this is how simple it is. Do you think that Nu Skin or Amway or Herbalife has a couple 100,000 people or a couple million people? What do you think? Globally, how many people do you think are participating in those companies? The obvious answer is a couple million people, right? If you're going to do $2, $3, $4 billion in sales, you're probably going to need a few million people participating. So if that's where we want to be, and this company only has a couple 100,000 people, we're in the first 10% of getting there. So that means there's 90% left, 90% of what we have to gather so that we can be one of them. You're in the first 10% with a company whose CEO is sitting on the board of directors for the DSA, with a company that is setting a standard with its product that's never been met before, with a company that has a comp plan that doesn't feed all the money to the top. You still make a lot. I mean, I've made a lot of money sitting at the top, but not like what these other companies just send all of it to the top and then they look at everyone and say, well, when you get there. When you get there, it's great, right? That's what they say. Not here. We said we don't want 5 years. We don't want a 4-year company. We want a lifetime company. So how you do that is you spread the money out so that people are making money along the way, so that they make money in the middle rank, so they have enough money to get trained, so they have enough money to get an airplane ticket or go to the meeting. You spread it out. When people have success early, they stick around. When people have success in the middle, start having options in the middle, they start to go, hey, I made it to the Pro 5 rank. I wonder if I can get to the Pro 7 rank. And we did all that. CEO sitting on the board of directors, validated product, comp plan that doesn't feed it all to the top. You guys, a couple 100,000 people, got to have a couple million. You can't get any better than that. Made it through all the chaos, all the confusion, attracted decades of experienced people to lead our company on the corporate side. You guys, that's the conversation that builds giant teams. Does that make sense? So now I've been talking for 30 total minutes. I've been talking for 30 total minutes. That is almost an entire presentation. It is covered every topic you can almost even consider talking about. And all you have to do with your people now is say, what more do you want to know? And then take them to the information. And that's how you build this business.
So thank you very much, very much. It's like great. Thank you for the history, because little bits we all knew, but it's really nice to hear it from somebody who was there, who was there in the meeting. So thank you for that. And you're right, Justin Rose, I met him just on the street in Utah, just when I was doing my other business. And he was so approachable. He was like, hey, Life Vintage. So that was amazing. So could you just elaborate a little bit about the compensation plan?
I can.
For me, you are the compensation plan man.
I can. So let me ask you this before I jump in. How detailed do you want me to get?
Well, I think there are a lot of people. Jennifer, do you move to say something? But I think there are a lot of people here who are doing the business. So when I realized that, oh, hold on, I can put people on my first level, but I can also put them underneath my other distributors to support the other distributors. I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know that before. So maybe the little tricks in that.
So let's do this then. I'm going to share. I just went over and pulled up my PowerPoint really quick. I'm going to share a screen with you. Can everybody see this okay?
Yes, I can.
You guys, so let's talk about this really quick. You're now asking me to do my very favorite thing in the world. I love the comp plan. This is I feel like if you understand how to qualify for different ranks, then this becomes a lot easier, right? I mean, you now know how to get your check bigger, which then proves that this works to the people that you're hoping will follow you on your team, right? So if you understand just simple things like that you can place in depth, or how much width do you have to have on your front line, it becomes a lot simpler. So should we go through this really quick? Will that work?
Yes, great, thank you.
So let's talk really quick about a couple really simple things, but I think it's important for people to know. When these initials right here that say PV, that is your personal volume. And I want to clarify a couple things up on personal volume. The only requirement that you really have personally is a $40 requirement. We want you to at least personally use $40. So when you look at this PV number, if the requirement to be a Pro 1 is 100, if you're doing 40 of it, the other 60 can come from customers, okay? Or you can do it all yourself. I mean, I order $500 a month worth of stuff every month, so I meet this requirement. But if I was only ordering 40, I could have a few customers that would make up the difference. Okay, so that's the first thing I think everybody needs to know. There's only one time that we change this as you move through the ranks, and it would be at the Pro 4 rank. But for the first 3 ranks, it's only $100. It's not a lot. It's easy to hit that. The OV, these little initials that say OV, that's organizational volume. And what that means is that we take every order, including yours, including your customers, including any enrollments. We take every order, every piece of volume, and it counts towards your total organizational volume. So to be a Pro 1, your total group, and again, including you, including all the subscriptions on your team, all of the customers on your team, any new enrollments, everything, okay? If you add them all up and it's 1,000 in total volume, then you're a Pro 1. And it can all come from one line of sponsorship. We call them legs, okay? So if you kind of think about it, if you're up here, okay, and if this would be 2 legs, right? If you're the top, and then 3, 4, right? That's how I want you to kind of visualize this. So all of that 1,000 organizational volume can come from just one leg. So you sponsor someone who sponsors someone who sponsors someone who sponsors. It could be 100 levels deep. It can all be in one leg. As long as it adds up to 1,000, you're at least a Pro 1. Okay? To be a Pro 2, which by the way, when we were talking about placing down in depth, you could actually do that to be a Pro 1, right? You could place down in depth. You could sponsor someone and then sponsor someone else and place them under them. You'd be the enroller for both, right? But they would all be in one leg. Does that make sense? Did I lose anybody on that one? Okay. So that's how we start to decide what rank you qualify for. To be a Pro 2, your personal volume again is 100. 2,500 is what is required in the organizational volume. Okay, now again, I'm gonna say some things that's gonna get a little bit redundant, but I just really want to sink it in. Okay, this 2,500 can come from your volume, your customer's volume, any subscription volume, or any new enrollments. It all counts towards this 2,500. But at Pro 2, we say that you need to have 2 different legs. Now, this is where some people get a little bit confused, and I want to clear this up. It's not hard, but I'm going to clear it up for you. There's something called an 80-20 split. So 80% of this organizational volume, 80% of what is required for you to hit the rank that you're trying to hit, 80% of what is required to hit the rank can come from one line. So in this case, 80% of 2,500 is 2,000. So if you had this big runaway leg and you'd sponsored a couple people down, you could have $2,000 of the 2,500 in that one big runaway leg. The company then just says you just have to have another 20% of it. So the other 500 of it, this other 500 has to come outside the big leg. That's it. And then you're qualified. So if your total group adds up to 2,500, you can have up to 2,000 of it in a big leg as long as you have at least 500 outside of that. Okay? Now I'm gonna try not to confuse anybody, but you have to understand this piece. That is the worst case scenario, would be to have 2,000 in one leg and 500 outside of it. That's worst case scenario. Ideally, you would want to have 5 legs that all have 500 in each one, or 10 legs that all have $250 or 250 in each leg. Ideally, you want to spread the volume out as wide as you can. Okay, that's ideal. So best case scenario might be, 10 legs with 250 in each one. Worst case scenario would be 2,000 in one leg and 500 in another. Does that make sense? Some people see this and they go, so that means I have to have 2,000 in one leg. No. That is worst case scenario. Okay? Balance is better. Width is always better. Okay? And I'm going to go through these numbers again through these early ranks, and then I'll skip through it as we get to the higher ones. Pro 3 is still 100 in personal volume, 5,000 in group volume. So the company, again, the computer is going to look at your group and say, okay, you qualified Pro 2. Let's see if you qualify Pro 3. It's going to say, do you have 5,000 in total volume? First of all, it's going to look at your personal volume, your customer volume, your auto ship volume, and any new enrollment volume. It's going to look at all those. If they add up to 5,000, it's going to say, do you have 4,000 of it? Because 80% of 5,000 would be in one leg. And if you do, it's going to say, do you have another 1,000 outside of that? If you do, then you're a Pro 3. Okay? If you don't have it all in one leg, it's going to say, do you have $5,000 in volume? Is it spread out between 5 different legs or 10 different legs? And if it is, then you're a Pro 3. Okay? That's how the computer starts to see what you qualify for. So now, when you start to look at this, you go, okay, if I understand this little simple structure or this little simple how to make rank, I can look at my team now and say, I could go to you and I could say, okay, you've got 2,300 in volume. You're only 200 away from Pro 2. Let's do a meeting at your house, or let's do a Zoom call. Let's try to get you that other $200 in volume. I would also be able to look at the volume you have in your different legs in your organization, and I would be able to know whether it has to come from the big line or from the smaller lines or anywhere in your business. I mean, what if you have 1,200 in one line and you have 1,200 in another line? That would be 2,400, right? You only need 100 more volume, but we only needed 500 outside. That means you can get the extra 100 anywhere, right? So if you start to understand these little things, it allows you to be a good leader for your team. I can look at anybody's organization. I can look at how many legs they have, how much personal volume they're doing, how much total volume they're doing, and I can tell them how close they are to the next rank within probably 5 minutes. At any rank. I can probably do it in 60 seconds, really, at any rank, because I understand how this part works, okay? So let's go to the next slide really quick. This is the only time that your personal volume will change is right here from Pro 3 to Pro 4. 200 in volume, though, still is only requiring you to do 40 of it. The other 160 can come from customers. And we encourage that. 80% of the people who join our company are customers because they get excited about our products. And some people have had different experiences in network marketing, and so they might not want to do the networking side until they have a personal experience with the product, but they still want our products because almost everybody wants to be healthier, they want to live longer, they want to reduce inflammation, they want to do everything they can to try to minimize the chance for disease later on in life. And so lots of people want our product. All of that customer volume counts towards your 200 as long as you're doing 40 of it, okay? So to be a Pro 4, it's 10,000 in total group volume. Again, personal volume, customer volume, auto ships, or subscription volume and enrollment volume. All of it counts. And it still only has to come from 2 different legs, and it's still just an 80-20 split. So let me ask you this question. If it's an 80-20 split and we're trying to qualify Pro 4, how much volume can come from one leg if you're trying to qualify Pro 4? 8,000 of it, right? 8,000 volume can come from that one big runaway leg. And see, we did this on purpose. If we know that most people are going to have a runaway leg. So for example, in my $10 million organization, 7 million of it is in one leg. That's crazy, right? I mean, 7 million, 7 Pro 10 volumes are in one leg. That's crazy, right? Okay. Well, we know that most people are going to have a runaway leg. And so what we did is we gave you more and more credit for the runaway leg. So here's what I mean. It can all come from one leg. 1,000 of it can come from that leg here. 2,000 can come from the runaway leg here. 4,000 can come from the runaway leg here. 8,000 can come from the runaway leg here. So we never punish you for having a big runaway leg. Is that starting to make a little bit more sense to everybody? Okay. Pro 5, 20,000 in organizational volume. The splits change because you're now required to have 3 lines. So 3 legs growing. It's a 60-30-10 split. Now this is where I'm going to take a little bit more time and make sure we really understand this, okay? So if we're trying to qualify Pro 5, the required organizational volume is 20,000. We will count in a worst case scenario up to 60% of this, again, from the big runaway leg, which is now 12,000, right? So we counted 8,000 of it over here. We're now going to count 12,000 of it over here. We will then count in a worst case scenario another 30%, which is 6,000 from a second runaway leg. And we're going to ask you to have 2,000 in a third leg or combination of all the rest. Okay? That's worst case scenario. And everything works exactly like that through the rest of the ranks. 60-30-10 all the way until you're trying to qualify Pro 10. Okay, so let's go through these a little bit quicker. Pro 6, the required organizational volume is 50,000. What is 60% of 50,000? It's 30,000. So the big runaway leg, we counted 8 of it here, 12 of it here, 30,000 of it here, never punishing you for having a big runaway leg. There's comp plans out there, you guys, that if you have a runaway leg, they break away from you. That's not good. That's not good. There's comp plans where if someone in your downline makes rank ahead of you, you lose them. That's not good. We took all that out. We said we will give you more and more and more credit as that big runaway leg just continues to grow. We'll give you more and more credit all the way through. Okay? Pro 7, 60-30-10 splits. So 60% of 100,000 now in group volume will count up to 60,000 from the big runaway leg. We just give you more and more credit. We'll count another 30,000 from a second runaway leg. And then we just say you need to have 10% of what's required outside of that. And it can come from a third or a combination of third, fourth, fifth, sixth legs, okay? So now I'm going to back up again. I've been going through worst case scenario. What would a best case scenario look like if you're trying to hit Pro 7? Maybe 10 legs with 10,000 in each one? Your check will be huge if you do that, by the way. It will be the range of income report. If you have 10 legs with 10,000 in each one of them, you will be setting new records for the high-end payout. Okay, because no one's done that. No one's ever done that. But you could. And if you do, you will set records in this company. Okay? Same thing all the way through these. So if you look at this and you understand how to make rank, now all you have to do is realize that it's my job to go introduce this like we talked about in the first 30 minutes to as many people as possible. When someone buys a kit, I'm able to, in the beginning I used to say, let's just get your money back. And then Darren, again, this is how smart our CEO is. He looked at me, he goes, Tyler, why would someone want to just get their money back? I mean, if they're just trying to get their money back, why would they give you their money in the first place? And I was like, that's pretty smart. You're right. He says, why don't you teach people how to make money? Why don't you teach people how to get a return on their investment? And I thought, yeah, that's pretty smart. I think I'm going to start doing that. And I was already big. I was already doing $8 or $9 million a month in volume, right? I'm like, there's always something to learn in this game, right? There's always something to learn. So the way I teach this now is I say, if you're going to join with a platinum pack, which is $1,200 in the United States, and it's different numbers. I think in Amsterdam it was 13 or so or something like that. I can't remember the exact euros that you would.
12, 40 or 50 something.
It's in that same ballpark. And so the commission you get for when you join around the world, the idea was that if you enroll 3 people, you'll have your initial investment back. But if you can get 5 people, you have a pretty good return on investment now. So if I spent $1,200 and I enroll 5 other people at the same level I came in, I'm going to actually get my $1,200 back plus an additional $800. So I would get $2,000 back, and I only invested $1,200. And that's how I teach it now. So I try to teach people to do things in 5s. Go get 5 people, invite them to meetings, invite them to the trainings, invite them to Zooms, and then let's do a few meetings to help you go get your 5 more up myself. And I learned something along the way, you guys, that I call the rule of 3. So this is how I try to get them to understand how to get a profit on their investments. And then this is how many people you're going to have to talk to actually make that happen. Okay. So you talk to 3 people so that you can show, let me get this to the right screen, so that you can show 1. So I've just found that even as the better you get, you're still going to talk to 3 people, and 2 of them are going to not want anything to do with what you're saying, but one will say, okay, maybe I'll take a look. Well, it turns out that if you show 3 people, only 1 of them will enroll. That's just and it's not just in LifeVantage. This is kind of an industry thing, okay? You're going to have to talk to 10 so that 3 will let you show them, and 1 person goes, all right, let's give it a shot. I mean, I'll try. I'll sign up, okay? It also says that if you enroll 3, I don't know if you guys can see this over here, only 1 of them is actually going to build with you, okay? And I show this to people, and they go, that can't be right. And I go, well, it is. It's right. It's absolutely right. You're going to talk to 30 people so you can show 10. 3 people will sign up, and 1's actually going to do it. One of them will quit. And one of them is going to say things like this, well, if it works for you, right? They're going to say that. So once I learned this, you guys, I started to talk to them about, let's get our 5 so that 1 or 2 will actually build, because then I can go help them get theirs. And over time, what happens is I'm eventually going to get 3 people building or 5 people building. And this is really the number that I try to create as an expectation for people. You're going to have to talk to 300 people, show 100, 30 people enroll, and 10 people build. And this right here is literally the secret to $1 million a year income. This is how you have to do it. And some people go, but I can't talk to 300 people. And I have to remind them that it's really not that hard. And they go, yeah, but it is. I mean, that's 300 people. And so I say things like this. I like to try to get people to think a little bit different. And so here's how I say this. How many of you have a job where you can go to your boss and say, next year I want 65 days off? Okay? Because there's 365 days in a year, right? I want 65 days off. And the reason I ask that question is because I then say, in this game, what if you just talk to 1 person a day and then take 65 days off next year? Could you do this? And people go, oh, yeah, that makes it a lot easier. Now you start to go, I can talk to 1 person a day and take over 2 months off. I can do that. Okay, well, if you do, you should get better and better and better throughout the year. and you'll be able to show about 100 of them. You'll enroll 30 of them. 10 of them will build, 10 will quit, and 10 people will look at you and go, if it works for you, I'll do it. And they never will. Just so you know, they're always going to say that, no matter how much it works for you. But these are the 10 you're looking for right here. These are the 10 that get excited about the things we talked about earlier today, and they want to do something about this, okay? So this is what I show them. And then I try to explain. They go, well, why would I put all that effort in? Well, number one, if you sign 5 people up the way you came in, you'll get all your money back plus about 80%, okay? The company then takes over 50% of what comes in and pays it back to all of us. So 43% of every dollar that comes in is paid through our Unilevel. And then we pay 5 generations of matching bonuses to where anybody you enroll, they match a piece of their check to you. It's 10% that they match to you. And then the people they enroll, through the next 4 generations of enrollment, they match another 5% of what all those checks add up to. And it turns into a giant amount of money. I mean, can you imagine if you enrolled 10 people who enrolled 5, that would be 50 people in that next group, right? Well, if those 5 people enrolled 2, there'd be 100 more people in that next group. If they enroll 2, there's 200, and then 400 in that 5th generation. Well, if you knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who knew me, which is why you do this, if you knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who knew me, and I sign up and I ended up in your group, your 5% check on mine, on just my business, would be $2,000 a month. And you didn't even know who I was. And I'm one of 700 other checks you're going to match. That's how the matching works. It's crazy. So if you look at my check last month was $123,000. Okay, 40,000 of it was Unilevel. Another 35 to 40,000 of it was in the matching bonuses. And then the other 35 to 40,000 was in the next bonus, which is the elite bonus, which takes all the volume from the company, the whole thing, everything that I'm doing, everything that you're doing, everything that other groups are doing, and they take 4% of that and they put it into a pool and they share it with all of the top ranks. They share it with everybody who's Pro 7 and above. And it adds up when you get all the way to Pro 10 to about another $40,000. So I get requests all the time from other teams to do this kind of stuff, to teach and train like this. And my answer is always, yeah, if I've got time to do it, if I can, absolutely. You have to work around my schedule, but I'm happy to do it. And here's why. I get paid no matter where the volume comes from in this company. Another way to look at it is you can look at the $10 million worth of volume that my organization does globally. And when you hit those ranks, you get paid on what I've already done. That's another way to look at it. So when you look at the compensation plan, why would you not want to go out and work really hard at a perfect moment in timing as we move through this momentum cycle? Why would you not want to get paid from what I've already done? See, there's no mystery there. It's not hypothetical at all. You just have to qualify for the ranks, which is why I went through those ranks with you. You get to Pro 7, Pro 8, Pro 9, Pro 10. You get to share in what my organization has already done. Not what we're going to, I mean, you'll get what we're going to do too, but you're going to share in what we've already done. That's a big deal, you guys. So over 50% of every dollar gets paid back to us. So if you get excited about our products, if you get excited about the science, if you get excited about what the Direct Sellers Association is saying about LifeVantage and putting our CEO on the board of directors, if you get excited about the example that our company is setting, you guys, now is the best time to take advantage of it. We pay 50% of every dollar that comes into the company on products back out to all of us. And that's huge. It's huge. So tell the story from we had a product that was so advanced that we had to give the product a voice. If you haven't made the best decisions financially and you need to get back on track, let's give this a shot, okay? If you want to be 65, 70 years old, be healthy in your actual body and healthy financially, let's give this a shot. Worst case scenario, you're just on the same path you're on right now. That's worst case. This isn't expensive. I'm not asking anybody to do a $250,000 franchise fee. That's not what I'm asking people to do here. This is not expensive. I mean, man, I don't even know how much money I spend on coffee, but it's I've spent way more than it cost me to join this company. I promise you that, right? This is not a hard thing if you'll become a student of the industry, but then touch on all those things, understand the rule of 3, and then you guys, there's no reason why you can't take your community and be a big part of what this company does in the next 5 years. There's just no reason for it. The path's already been paved. You don't even have to go out and make your own. It's already been proven. So can I leave you guys with that?
Tyler, you are amazing. I think I have a couple of minutes left. Are you up for one, two questions maybe?
Sure. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. So anybody who does have a question for Tyler, unmute yourself and you can ask the question or put it in the chat box. So by the way, Tyler, nice challenge. 10, 10 for 10.
I have a whole presentation on industry statistics. And if you hit this, if you do this, you're considered a hyper enroller. And there's only 2.6% of our company that does this.
Oh, wow.
So if you want to be in the top 3% of our company, which is where all the big earners are, this is all you have to do. This is why I show this. When people understand, see, 83%, this is a crazy number. 83% of the people who come into our company never do anything.
Nope.
That's crazy. So if you do anything, if you sign up one person, you are in the top 17% just by doing that. So people, sometimes I think people, they think there's this extraordinary thing that the people at the top have done. It's not. It's not. I mean, it's very, very simple. Did they do? Yeah, they did this. They went and they put the effort in to talk to 300 people. That's what they did. This is not extraordinary. I mean, you guys have talked to way more than 300 people in your life. I promise you. This is not extraordinary. But people think that you have to sign 300 people up. I've signed up 36 people total ever. In my whole career, I've signed 36 people up. That's it. Made $30 million. Signed up 36 people. Did you want to know what I did want to know what I did different than other people who signed up more than me? Want to know what I did? I was a really great inviter. I was never the message. I was the messenger. I would deliver them to where the information that they wanted was. See, too many people think they have to know everything and then be able to show, look how smart I am. That's what everybody tries to do. I'm so smart, I can recite peer reviews. And it's the worst thing people can do because the person you're talking to goes, well, I can't do that. So I guess I can't do this. But see, when you sign people up and they have a question, you go, I don't know, but I think we can find it. And you take them and find the answer. You're saying things to them without saying things to them, right? You're saying to them, you just have to be able to point to the information. You don't have to know it. You just have to know where it is. And that's where all my successes come from. I'm really good at showing people how to find the information and then letting them go educate themselves. I don't have to be the smartest person sitting there. I just have to be the best at inviting you there. And that's the secret. But people
and utilizing your comp plan.
What's that?
And utilizing your comp plan.
Yeah, it is. I just realized, you guys, early on that you can scare people away. The duplication process starts with the first word that comes out of your mouth. And if you're telling people they have to be brilliant, most people don't believe they can do that. And that's failure number one. They just don't believe they can do that. You got to make it simple, make it easy. Okay? If you show up and they can't dress like you, you failed. I'm just telling you, you guys, this game is really easy. You need there's one rule. There's really only one rule. When you get done talking to someone, they in their mind have to believe that there's a chance they can do this. And if you're doing anything that would take that idea out of their head, you fail. You lose. Okay? Be the best inviter. Help people believe they can do it. That's it.
Great. Thank you. Well, I don't see any questions left. So I'm just going to say it again. Anybody question? Tyler, once again, say hi to Tasha, to this amazing power lady. And thank you very much. And I hope we can use you again. Just enjoy your coming free time. I hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving.
We did spend it with the kids.
Yes, thank you. And for the other people, the recording will be to the people who are, let me see if there's a question coming in. Nope. the ones who are in contact with me will get the recording. So if the ones who are invited you to this Zoom, go to them, and then probably you will get the recording from them. But thank you very much, Tyler, and you just gave me a good challenge. Thank you very much.
Well, you bet. And I'll make one more challenge to you guys. Nothing I've said I own. You guys can use all of it. You can anything, if anything I said inspired or motivated you, use it. This is a game of plagiarism too. Okay? Plagiarize everything if you want to. So take what you love, throw away what you don't, and we'll see you guys at the next big event.
Iwan says thank you. Thank you.